That's right. Welcome to the Saturday because it's time for Ringside. Got a bunch of news lined up for you, so without further ado, we're just gonna jump straight in with WWE is now saying, quote, a big meeting in WWE is taking place at some point today about creative SummerSlam and Survivor Series plans. So it obviously makes a lot of sense that they're talking about SummerSlam, right? They want to make sure that everything is like lined up and they've got like, big returns or, big spots in the match happening and everything like that, right? Survivor Series, again, that makes a whole lot of sense. They want to make sure that everything's like planned properly and, they want to make sure that like down the line, in case like it gets a little bit closer, if they want to swap anything out, you know what I mean? They're just, it all just, it all makes a lot of sense. The creative, that's what's really making me think. Because that could mean anything. That could mean that they could be planning on changing it over to Vince again. That could mean that they're planning on changing it fully to Triple H. That could mean that they are like, all right, let's figure out who's going to be in charge of what. Like, when they're talking about creative, that can mean anything, but I think those are probably the three main, at least those are the first three things that pop up in my head when I think about that. Like, it makes me think that they are aware of the discombobulation, right? They're aware of the fact that it's not that it doesn't make any sense, but it also doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, that could be what they're talking about. They could be saying something along the lines of like, look, man, you keep arguing with Vince back and forth and Vince keeps coming back to make changes, so why don't we just put him back in charge again? Or, like I said, they could be like, Vince, you keep trying to make these changes to Triple H's shows, and it's causing like this tear, and instead of just trying to have both of you instead of trying to have two people run one thing, let's just have one person do it. And we've decided that it's going to be Triple H because it's better for our stakeholders and it's better for our stocks and the companies and the sponsors and all that sort of stuff. So Vince, just go back to wherever and just let Triple H handle it. I don't necessarily know. I'm not concerned about SummerSlam or Survivor Series because, again, it's coming up, and obviously they want to have a decent grip on it. So, I assume something might come out. I don't know. So, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what is said at the meeting, I guess. So, we're just going to have to find out. Sticking with WWE, they also say NXT is being pushed strong right now, and we could once again see a 3-brand Survivor Series card. It's kind of weird that NXT has been going... I talked about this a bunch of times. It's so weird that NXT is being like, it's developmental, and then it's not, and then it is, and then it's not, and now it's on Survivor Series, and now it's not, and it's developmental, but it's a third brand, and now it's back on Survivor Series. It's so weird that NXT has 2.0, and never mind, no 2.0, it's just back to the yellow brand, but it's not black and gold, it's just yellow. It's so weird. It's so weird to me that like NXT has been like treated like this ever since it started, and how it's just been at the top and then bottom, and then I don't know, it's so weird how it's like been fluctuating. But I mean, I guess it's a good thing, right, that it's on the Survivor Series card again, even though it wasn't on Survivor Series last year, so their mind, they don't know what to do with this brand, man. They cannot make up their mind on how they want to see this thing. The only reason why Nick Khan is making it a third brand is because he wants to look good in front of like the investors and stuff like that, and it's just like, well, okay, so then is it a third brand, or is it a third brand because you want to look good in front of everyone? Like, which is it? Like, does that mean it's a third brand, or is it a third brand? Is it like this weird like puppet brand? I don't know. Honestly, however you feel about NXT is how you feel about NXT, whether you think it's a third brand or not. I think that, again, goes in line with just how WWE has been treating it thus far. And I think at the end of the day, look, they want to put it on Survivor Series. That tells you something. I don't know. If it doesn't tell you anything, it at least tells you that they feel as though that it's enough that it should be on Survivor Series. But again, is it because they think it's an actual third brand? Or is it because they know that their TV deals are going to be up soon and they want to look good? I don't know. You decide. You be the judge. Lastly, from WWE, Carmelo Hayes should have his Raw debut match tonight against a, quote, big main event talent. I mean, that could be The Miz or Johnny Gargano or Matt Riddle. That could be a lot of different people, I don't know who it's going to be. I like that Carmelo Hayes is, being showcased on Raw, right? That's good. I'm glad that instead of just putting him on the show in like a backstage segment, instead of putting him in like this weird like comedy spot, he's being placed at a very prominent, position on the card, right? And that obviously tells you that, one, they have confidence in him, right? Because if that was the case, then he wouldn't be, with a big main event guy. And two, they see like a future in him. This is obviously good for Carmelo, and this is good for anybody who are fans of Carmelo, right? Like, you don't have to worry about WWE potentially just like sticking, I don't know, just giving him something stupid to work with, and then it doesn't work, obviously, and then just firing him or pushing him to the back of the line. So I don't know who the guy is, right? So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how it goes. And even then, there's a hopefully, this equates to something more, right? This equates to bigger and better things for him after NXT, once that big match is all said and done. So we're just gonna have to wait and see who it is. Moving over to Kurt Angle, he said on his Kurt Angle Show podcast that Randy Orton is recovered from back surgery, and he thinks he's, quote, gonna come back pretty damn soon. Randy Orton is someone who I didn't consider. I did not consider him at all when they were talking about like a big return was being planned. So it could be Randy Orton that could be coming back. Maybe not at Money in the Bank, but he could be coming back pretty damn soon. I don't know what pretty damn soon means. It could be tonight. It could be next week. It could be 2 weeks from now. I don't know. It could be after Money in the Bank. I guess those are like the windows of when he could return. That should be when we expect him to come back. I don't know what they're going to do with him. I'm a little bit worried because, well, okay, he's recovered from back surgery. He's recovered. So it's not like the surgery didn't happen and then he just immediately hopped out of the surgical chair and was just like, yeah, surgical chair. And was just like, I'm ready now. And then he flew away. Like, I don't think that's what happened. It's honestly, man, I think it's just like, it's how I felt about like Daniel Bryan and like Edge and stuff. Like, I know that you're back and like you're recovered and everything, but it's like, I don't know. That's just me. At this point, him coming back, I don't even know where he would fit. So let's just, for right now, have him come back into the ring, and then once he's back, I don't know, figure something out. I mean, assuming that they haven't already, planned a story for him. So let's just wait to see him make a return. Next, PW Insider warns that anything can change at any time, quote, especially with Vince McMahon back around. But on the women's end, we have consistently heard without fail that Io Sky has been and remains the front runner for the briefcase this year. Okay, as much as I would like to be reassured that Io Sky is going to win the women's Money in the Bank briefcase, there's a part of me that's like, okay, but that doesn't mean anything because Otis won the Money in the Bank briefcase and then he lost it. And he didn't even get to cash it in. He just lost it. He was in a match with The Miz, and then he lost it. And then The Miz lost, The Miz won, and then he lost the championship, like, shortly after. So, like, I don't know how this is supposed to fill me with any type of confidence. I don't know what I'm supposed to be confident about here. Because, especially with Vince back, she could win the briefcase, and then, like, if she can like develop a fear of the color white or green or something, and then be like, oh, I can't hold the briefcase. Oh, I'm scared of it. Get it out of me. Get it out of my hands. And then Bayley takes it, and then Bayley can have it, which I guess isn't really a horrible alternative, but getting to that is dumb, And also, I mean, like, women don't cash in the Money in the Bank contract like later on. They do it immediately, So as much as, I mean, great, but she could hold on to it for a little bit. But I mean, if she's cashing it in immediately, she's gonna be champion. Great, but then Asuka's not gonna be champion. I mean, but you see what I mean? I don't necessarily know. How am I supposed to feel about this? I don't know what's gonna happen down the line. I don't know what's gonna happen to Io Sky and Asuka. Anything could happen. There's so many different like variables and factors that we have to play into here that I almost am not reassured by this. I don't know. There's a lot that could happen and may happen. I don't know. So she's gonna win, and I guess we're just gonna have to go from there after that. Sticking with Insider, WWE sources indicate there are many in the company who believe Drew McIntyre will be back in the mix by the UK tour and Money in the Bank. That tells me that he negotiated the contract. That's pretty much it. That tells me that they finally came to an agreement, or it means that they came to an agreement on what they want the storyline to be. That's what that tells me. That tells me that they were like, what about this? And he went, sure. So hopefully this means that, he's not going anywhere anytime soon, at least, for right now. He's happy with the contract and he's happy with the creative. So let's just wait and see when he comes back. Finally, the Wrestling Observer says FTR is, quote, not part of the equation when it comes to any issues with CM Punk and people being kept apart in AEW. They note that FTR, quote, actually went out of their way as of late to clear the air and have no working issues with each other. I could have told you that FTR didn't really have a problem with CM Punk. I don't know if this means issues with Punk and people being kept apart in AEW. It makes me think about, was it Dax Harwood who was going to creative about Tony Khan, and I was like, oh, it could be about CM Punk. It kind of makes me think about that, but I don't think that is entirely the case. I think that they're not part of the equation when it comes to any issues with Punk. So I think what they're trying to say is like, don't worry about them. They aren't they have nothing to do with people booing Punk or, how they don't feel any type of way about Punk, I guess. I assume that's what that means, right? And I think the biggest thing about this is just that they really, as far as I know, it's been Dax who has been very vocal about how he feels about Punk. I haven't really heard too much about Cash, but considering that, to be fair, though, Cash could just be doing the job, maybe Cash doesn't feel the same way. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him. Unless he has come out and said something and I've just not been, looking directly at it. But so far, from what I've seen and from what I can tell, FTR doesn't really seem to have a problem with Punk or working with him or, how he's moving about, regardless of all that, right? Is it regardless or irregardless? Point is, okay, doesn't matter. Punk is here, and there's going to be people that like him and want to work with him. There's going to be people that don't like with him, that don't like him, but still work with him. And there's going to be people that don't like him and don't want to work with him. Doesn't matter. He's here. He's moving ahead in the tournament. We're just going to have to deal with it, just like everybody else. What do we talk about? The big meeting is about SummerSlam and Survivor Series, but I think the main crux of that meeting is going to be about creative and how creative needs to be handled from this point forward. That's what I think they are mainly going to be talking about. They already know that they need to plan stuff out with Survivor Series and SummerSlam and all that sort of stuff. That we get that. We already have the Google Docs, thing set up. We know that already. I think the main thing is going to be about creative, but I don't know what it's going to be about. So something's probably going to come out in the near future about what that is. So we're just going to have to wait and see. NXT is being pushed strong right now. Is because they actually want it to be a third brand, or is it because they want to look all sultry and enticing for the TV deal? Which is it? I personally think it's a bit of both, and with that in mind, it doesn't feel like NXT is actually being pushed. It just feels like NXT is getting all these frills and all this makeup and all this stuff. It's getting all dolled up, just to look good for somebody else. And I don't know. Take with that what you will. Hayes could have his Raw debut match tonight. Great. It's against the main event guy. Again, they have confidence in him. They are confident in his future, right? They see a lot in him, and they don't think that they're not turning this guy into a joke, and I'm happy about that. Randy Orton could return pretty damn soon. I don't know when that could be. Let's just get him back in the ring, because I have no idea where he's gonna end up right now. So let's get him back in the ring first, and then after that, let's go from there. Vince, Io Sky's the front runner, great, but with everything that's going on and with the way that creative could potentially just flip at any moment, as much as this is great here, don't get me wrong, this is great, I'm happy for this, right? But from the moment she gets the briefcase, anything could happen. The moment she gets the briefcase, the moment she loses it, anything could happen. So we just gotta wait and see what is going to happen with that. I don't know. Sources indicate that Drew McIntyre is coming back. That means that they have negotiated the contract and they have negotiated, his creative. Great. So let's just wait and see when he returns and what they're going to do for him. Either way, this is good. This is a good thing. And finally, FTR is not a part of the equation. That makes a whole lot of sense. You should already know by now how they feel about Punk. I'm glad that somebody is, perfectly fine with working with him. They aren't bothered by him or anything like that. And even if they are, they're still doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm happy about that. So That's literally, I'm fine with that. I'm just fine with that. You know, they're just like not really bothered too much about that. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. As always, big hugs all around.